The envelope sat on my table for hours before I opened it. My name was written in elegant gold letters, like it belonged in a life I'd already lost. I stared at it, half hoping it was junk mail. It wasn't. Claire Morgan and Daniel Reed request the honor of your presence. My breath caught halfway through the line. I laughed, quiet, bitter. So she's really doing it. Olivia, sitting across from me, frowned. You opened it, didn't you? Yeah. I held the invitation between two fingers. Gold letters. Fancy paper. Just like her, Ethan, throw it away. She reached for it, but I pulled back. I should, I muttered, but I can't. Why torture yourself again? She's gone. Let her stay gone. I looked at her, forcing a smile. Do you believe in closure? Olivia sighed. Closure doesn't come from weddings, Ethan, especially hers. I leaned back, letting the memory hit me the night Claire left. No goodbye, no fight. Just an empty apartment and a note that said, I'm sorry. Back then, I thought I'd done something wrong. I lost my job, my confidence, and then her. But months later, I found out she hadn't left for freedom. She'd left for Daniel Reed, the man whose building I cleaned at night. Do you ever wonder, I said softly, if people realize what they destroy when they chase comfort? Olivia's voice was careful. You mean love? Yeah. Or whatever we call it when it hurts this much. The room fell quiet. The ticking clock filled the space between us. I tried to act like the invitation didn't matter, but my fingers kept tracing the golden edge. What if I go? I finally said. Olivia blinked. To her wedding? Just to return something that's hers. Her eyebrows lifted. What could you possibly have that she deserves back? I reached into the drawer beside me and pulled out a small, faded diary. The leather was cracked, the pages slightly bent at the edges. Claire's handwriting was etched across the first page. My dreams, my fears, my truth. Olivia's expression changed. You still kept that? She left it behind when she moved out. I couldn't throw it away. What's in it? She asked quietly. Everything. I hesitated. Her plans, her lies, her confessions. Olivia leaned forward. You read it? I tried not to, I said. But when you're trying to understand why someone shattered you, words are all you've got. What did she say? I met her eyes. She admitted it. She was already seeing Daniel. She said I was. Too small for the life she wanted. Olivia cursed under her breath. She doesn't deserve a second of your thoughts. I know, I said, but I need to give this back. To her face. Yes, she shook her head. You're walking into a storm you don't need. Maybe, I said quietly, but some storms are worth watching end. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she stood and grabbed her coat. If you're really going, at least don't go alone. I'll be fine. Ethan, she said, her tone softer, you're not fine. You just learned to hide it better. Her words landed deep. I forced a laugh. Maybe that's what healing looks like. Or maybe it's denial wearing a new suit. I smiled faintly. Then I guess I'll wear it to the wedding, Olivia groaned. You're impossible. Maybe, but I need to see her one last time, not for love. For truth. She stared at me, as if trying to read something beyond my words. And if she smiles like none of it ever happened, then I'll know she's still lying. Olivia shook her head but didn't stop me. She knew better. When someone's ghost still breathes in your chest, you don't exercise it with reason, you face it. I looked at the invitation again. My thumb brushed the names, tracing hers like a scar. Claire Morgan, I whispered, soon to be, Claire Reed. Olivia reached the door. You'll regret this, she said. Maybe, I replied. But regret's an old friend. I know how to walk beside it. When she left, silence returned. I placed the diary on top of the invitation. The contrast made me laugh again. Truth wrapped in leather. Lies wrapped in gold. I whispered to the empty room. I'll return what's yours, Claire. And this time, I won't beg you to stay. The night outside was quiet, but inside me something had started to move again. It wasn't hope. It wasn't hate. It was something colder. Sharper closure dressed as revenge, and I knew, as I folded the invitation back into its envelope, that I'd already said yes. The venue looked like it belonged in a dream I was never invited to. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above, white roses lined the aisles, and the air smelled of money and perfection. I stood at the back, clutching Claire's diary against my chest. Praying my heartbeat didn't give me away. "Excuse me," a woman's voice said. "Are you with the groom's side or the bride's?" I turned. She was young, elegant, with the same sharp blue eyes Daniel had in his photos. "Just an old friend," I replied. She smiled politely. "I'm Mia Daniel's sister. You look a bit lost." "I am," I said. "Didn't expect it to feel this expensive." She laughed softly. "That's Daniel. Everything has to be perfect." Her gaze drifted toward the altar. "You know Claire well?" "Well enough," I said quietly. She studied my face. "You sound like there's more to that answer." "There usually is," I murmured. Mia tilted her head. "You don't seem like the party type. Most guests are all smiles. Maybe I left mine at home." Her laughter faded. "You're here for her, aren't you?" I froze. "What makes you think that?" "The way you keep looking at her," she said gently. "It's not admiration. It's history." I swallowed. Maybe I'm just bad at pretending." "Pretending what?" "That I'm over something I never got closure from." Mia nodded slowly, reading more than I said. "Whatever it is, you should be careful. Weddings have a way of reopening wounds." "I noticed," I muttered, glancing toward Claire. She stood near the altar, radiant in a white gown that shimmered under the light. Every movement she made was poetry flawless, rehearsed. Her laughter drifted across the hall, soft and familiar. It was the same laugh that used to pull me out of the darkest nights. Hearing it now felt like being dragged back into them. Mia followed my gaze. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" "Always was," I said. She hesitated. "Does she know you're here?" "Not yet." "Then maybe you should tell her before someone else does." "I plan to," I said, gripping the diary tighter. "Just need the right moment." "What's that you're holding?" she asked. "Something she forgot," I said. Her brow furrowed. "Forgot or left behind?" I met her eyes. Maybe both. Before she could ask more, music filled the hall. Guests turned toward the entrance as Daniel appeared, straight-backed and confident. The crowd murmured approval. He looked like everything I wasn't: successful, unshaken, whole. Mia smiled proudly. "My brother's nervous." "You can't tell, but he's terrified." "He should be," I said under my breath. She blinked. "Sorry." "Nothing," I lied quickly. Then Claire walked in. The room collectively gasped. She moved like light, graceful, untouchable, radiant. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. Every cell in my body screamed her name, but my mouth stayed shut. She didn't belong to me anymore. As she passed down the aisle, her gaze swept across the crowd and stopped. On me, it lasted less than a second, but I felt it like a punch to the chest. Her smile faltered, eyes widening in disbelief. Then she looked away, faster than anyone else noticed. But I saw it. The flicker, the recognition. The fear Mia noticed too. "Wait. She knows you." "She used to," I said. "That's enough." "Who are you, really?" she whispered. "Someone who came to return something," I replied. Mia frowned. She looked terrified.
"Good," I said, softer than I intended.
"She should be." The ceremony coordinator called for guests to be seated. I stayed at the back. My palms were sweating, and the diary's leather felt like fire in my hands. I told myself I'd just give it to her after the vows and leave quietly. No drama, no revenge. Just truth. But fate has a twisted sense of humor. As people took their seats, Daniel walked over to greet a few guests. Claire was momentarily alone, speaking to a florist near the side entrance. Mia turned to me. "If you're going to do something, do it now." I nodded once. "Wish me luck?" "For what?" "For not breaking again." She stepped aside, watching as I made my way through the crowd. Every step felt heavier. My throat tightened. I could hear the rustle of her dress before I saw her, She turned and her eyes met again. This time, she didn't look away. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice barely holding. I forced a smile. "You look happy." Her lips parted. "What are you doing here?" "I came to return something you left behind." I lifted the diary slightly. Her eyes widened in shock. "Where did you left it in my apartment," I said. "I kept it safe. Why bring it now?" I shrugged. "Because you might need to remember who you were before you forget completely." Her breath hitched. "You shouldn't have come. I know." I handed her the diary. But I did. She didn't take it right away. Her hand trembled when she finally reached for it. The moment her fingers brushed mine, same electricity I used to live for ran through my hand, hurt twice as much. "Ethan." "Please, congratulations, Claire." I cut in. "You got everything you wanted." Her voice broke. "That's not fair." "No," I said quietly. "Neither was what you did." Before she could reply, someone called her name. Daniel was approaching. Her panic flashed for a split second. I stepped back. "Relax. I'm not here to ruin your big day." Her eyes glistened. "Then why are you here?" "To remind you, the past doesn't vanish just because you change your last name." She said nothing. I turned, walking away before Daniel could reach her. Behind me, I heard her voice crack soft, almost lost in the music. "Ethan." I didn't look back. Because if I did, I might have stayed. I found her in the dressing room, standing before a mirror surrounded by light. Her back was to me, her reflection the first thing that saw me enter. She turned sharply, veiled trembling as her eyes widened. "Ethan, you shouldn't be here." "I know," I said, stepping forward. "But I came to return something that was never mine." Her gaze flicked to my hands. "What do you mean?" I held out the diary. The brown leather looked dull against all the white around her. "You left this behind." For a moment she didn't move. Then her face drained of color. "Where did you in my apartment?" I said. "The day you walked out." She looked at it like it might burn her. "You shouldn't have kept it." "I didn't plan to," I said quietly. But throwing it away felt like erasing the last thing real between us. Her hand trembled as she reached for it. "You read it." I didn't answer. "Ethan," she whispered, voice barely holding. "Tell me you didn't." I met her eyes. "You left me with nothing but questions. That diary was the only place you ever told the truth." She flinched. "You shouldn't have read that. It wasn't meant for you. It was about me." She turned away, pressing a hand to her temple. "I was a mess back then. I didn't know what I wanted." "You knew," I said. "You just didn't want me." Her voice wavered. "It wasn't that simple. It always was." She spun around, eyes flashing. "You don't understand what it felt like. My parents hated my choices. Daniel offered stability, and I loved you." I cut in. "That's all I offered. I thought it was enough." Tears filled her eyes. "It wasn't about love, Ethan. It was about survival." I laughed softly. "So, leaving me for someone richer was survival?" "I was scared," she said, the words tumbling out. "You were losing your job. You stopped smiling. Everything felt like it was falling apart." I panicked. "You panicked into his arms," I said bitterly. She winced. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You did anyway." For a moment, silence filled the room. I could hear muffled music from the hall, the sound of people waiting for her perfect life to begin. She spoke again, quieter. "I wanted to say sorry for a long time. I just didn't know how." "Don't," I said. "Don't say sorry just because the timing feels safe now." Her lips trembled. "Then what do you want from me?" "Nothing." I placed the diary on the vanity. "That's the point." She stared at it like it held every secret she'd buried. "You should have stayed away." "I tried," I said, "but closure doesn't come by pretending the wound never existed." Her eyes softened. "Did you really forgive me?" I told myself I did. I said, "But forgiveness isn't something you force. It either grows or it doesn't." She took a step closer. "I was selfish, Ethan. I know that. But I didn't stop caring." I smiled bitterly. "You cared enough to invite me to your wedding?" Her confusion flickered. "What?" The invitation? It came to me. Her brows furrowed. I didn't send you one. Froze. You didn't? She shook her head. No. Why would I risk this? The realization hit me like a cold wave. Someone else wanted me here. Fate or karma? I couldn't tell. She reached for the diary again. I should destroy it. Go ahead, I said. If burning the truth makes you feel clean. Her fingers brushed the cover, hesitating. Did you read everything? Enough. She swallowed hard. What exactly did you read? I didn't want to say it, but silence would have been worse. The night you met Daniel while you were still with me, the part where you called me your safety net, the part where you convinced your parents I was holding you back. Her knees buckled slightly, and she caught the edge of the vanity. Ethan. I felt nothing but a dull ache. You wrote that love wasn't enough for you, that you wanted more? Tears slid down her cheeks. I was young, confused. I didn't mean you meant every word when you left. She shook her head, voice cracking. I thought he'd give me peace, but he doesn't even know me. Not really. I looked at her reflection in the mirror. Then maybe you should start telling the truth before you say I do. Her shoulders trembled. You're cruel. No, I said softly. I'm just done being your ghost. Her fingers tightened around the diary. You can't just show up like this and destroy everything. I didn't destroy anything, I said. You did that years ago? She opened her mouth to argue, but music from the hall grew louder. The signal. Someone called her name through the door. She panicked, flipping open the diary. Her eyes darted across the page, then froze. Her lips parted. Oh, God. I didn't need to look. I knew the entry she found, the one where she admitted using me, lying and trading affection for convenience. Her voice cracked. You read this? I lived it, I whispered. She looked up at me, tears spilling freely now. Ethan, please, please don't go out there. I'm not staying for the show, I said. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Goodbye, Claire. Her voice trembled. Do you still love me? I hesitated. I used to. And with that, I walked out, her sobs muffled by the sound of wedding music beginning to play as the door closed behind me. I felt nothing. No victory, no vengeance, just silence. The kind that comes when truth finally speaks louder than love. From the back row, I sat in silence, surrounded by strangers who believed they were about to witness perfection. Claire stood at the altar, veiled trembling under the soft glow of chandeliers. Her smile looked polished, practiced yet hollow. My chest tightened when I saw it. That smile had once been mine. The music faded. The priest began to speak, his voice calm, sacred. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today, but I couldn't hear him. My eyes were fixed on her hands. She held her bouquet too tightly, knuckles pale, fingers brushing, something hidden beneath the flowers. I knew what it was, the diary. Daniel turned to her, smiling like a man certain of forever. You okay? He whispered. She nodded too quickly. Fine. I caught the tremor in her voice, even from where I sat. The priest continued. Do you, Daniel Hayes, take Claire Morgan to be your lawfully wedded wife? Daniel squeezed her hand. I do. Applause rippled through the hall. Cameras flashed. Then came the question that stopped the world. And do you? Claire Morgan take Daniel Hayes. She froze. Her lips parted. Silence spread like frost. The priest hesitated. Miss Morgan. Her voice barely escaped her lips. I can't. Gasps erupted. Someone dropped a glass. The photographer's flash went off, catching her mid-dash tear. Daniel blinked, stunned. What? I can't do this, she whispered, shaking her head. I can't. The priest frowned. Claire, she stepped back, bouquet trembling in her hands. I'm sorry, she said louder now, voice breaking. I can't marry him. Daniel's confusion deepened. Claire, what are you talking about? Her chest rose and fell as she looked around the stunned crowd. Because this is all a lie, whispers filled the air. Her father half rose from his seat, but she kept speaking, voice cracking open like something she'd been holding for years. I'm not the woman you think I am, she said. I'm selfish. I'm weak. and I hurt someone who never deserved it. My heart thudded painfully. Daniel's jaw tightened. Claire, stop. She ignored him, tears streaming freely now. I lied to my parents. I lied to you. But worst of all, I lied to him. Who? Daniel demanded. Her gaze flicked the back toward me. Our eyes met across the sea of faces. Every sound in the room dulled except her voice. The man who loved me when I didn't deserve it. Gasps rippled again. People turned, trying to see who she meant. I looked down, avoiding their eyes. This wasn't my moment. It was hers. Daniel's voice rose, sharp and wounded. You're talking about him, aren't you? Claire's silence was answer enough. Daniel's expression hardened. You invited your ex to our wedding? I didn't, she said quickly. He came to return something I left behind. Something I should have burned. The diary, he said bitterly. She nodded. He read it. Every word. Every lie I wrote to justify what I did. Daniel's voice cracked with disbelief. And you tell me this now? In front of everyone? I can't start a marriage built on lies, she whispered. Too late. He snapped. Her bouquet slipped from her hands, hitting the marble floor. Petals scattered, and the brown leather cover of the diary peeked out. Gasps echoed again as she knelt to pick it up, clutching it against her chest. I used people to feel safe, she said softly, almost to herself. I called what I did love, but it wasn't. It was fear. Daniel stepped back. So I'm just another mistake? No, she said through tears. You're a good man, but I still see his face every time I close my eyes. And that's not fair to you. The hall felt suffocating. Guests whispered. Phones recorded. Flashes flickered. Claire stood trembling beneath the weight of her own confession. Her mother shouted, Claire, stop embarrassing us. Claire turned toward her, voice steady now. I've been living for appearances my whole life. I'm done. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, furious. You humiliate me like this? In front of everyone? I'm sorry, she said again, quieter now. But it's the truth. He looked at her one last time, face unreadable, then dropped her hand. Congratulations, Claire. You finally told the truth. The words hit harder than any slap. She crumpled slightly, clutching the diary like a lifeline. People murmured. Chairs scraped. Someone whispered my name, but I didn't look back. I'd already stood. As I walked toward the exit, I heard her voice behind me, small, broken. Ethan. I didn't turn. Her footsteps echoed once, then stopped. Maybe she realized that forgiveness wasn't waiting for her anymore. Outside, the heavy doors closed behind me. The cold London air wrapped around me, clean and sharp. The noise inside faded into distant chaos. I looked up at the gray sky. For the first time in years, it didn't feel heavy. I exhaled slowly. No anger, no sadness. Just release. A woman passing by glanced at me, probably wondering why a man in a suit was standing alone outside a church. But I wasn't alone. I was with the quiet something I hadn't felt in a long time. The wind brushed past, carrying the faint sound of church bells. They didn't sound like loss anymore. I thought of her inside. Of the shattered illusion, the tears, the gasps, and the diary that had finally spoken louder than any lie. Maybe that was her redemption. Maybe it was mine. I smiled faintly, not the bitter kind I'd worn for years, but something lighter. For the first time, I felt weightless, not because she stopped her wedding, not because she confessed, but because I finally walked away before love could break me again. The world moved faster after that day. News anchors, tabloids, gossips, sites, every headline screamed the same thing. Bride calls off wedding at the altar. They used words like shocking, dramatic, heartbreaking. None of them knew the truth behind it. None of them mentioned my name. Olivia called the next morning, her voice bright with disbelief. Ethan, that was her wedding, wasn't it? I didn't answer. You actually went, she said softly. And she saw you. She saw the truth, I murmured. She humiliated herself for it, Olivia replied. If that's not revenge, I don't know what is. I leaned against the window, watching the rain trace the glass. It doesn't feel like revenge. Then what does it feel like? I thought for a moment. Quiet. She sighed. You always wanted peace, didn't you? I just never thought it would come like this. For a while, we said nothing. The silence between us wasn't heavy, just full of things neither of us needed to explain. Then she said, she'll call. You know that, right? She already has. Olivia exhaled. And I didn't answer. Good, she said. Let her sit with it. But that night when my phone lit up again, I stared at her name longer than I should have. Claire. I remembered her voice. The way she used to say my name like it meant safety. I wondered what she'd sound like now, apologetic, maybe desperate. I wouldn't know. I let it ring until the screen went dark. The next day, a message came. I'm sorry. Please talk to me. Just once, I deleted it without opening the rest. Each call that followed felt weaker, like her voice was fading before it even reached me. Olivia texted later that week. Still ignoring her? I'm done talking, I replied. She sent back a heart emoji and a single word. Proud. Maybe she was. Maybe I was too. But pride wasn't what I felt when I passed the newsstand and saw Claire's picture splashed across glossy covers. Her face looked pale, fragile, empty. The caption read, Runaway Bride Speaks. I deserved it. I didn't buy the magazine. I didn't need to read her side. I already knew it. The world was punishing her enough without me adding to it. That evening, I sat at my desk and opened a blank page. For the first time in years, I didn't write about her. I wrote about me. The first line came easily. Forgiveness isn't a gift. You give someone else what you give yourself when you stop waiting for an apology. I smiled faintly. The words didn't sound bitter. They sounded. Freed out. Olivia dropped by the next morning with coffee. You're writing again? Yeah. What's it about this time? Healing, I said. Not her. Not what she did, just the parts of me that survived it. She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. You've changed. I had to. She grinned. Don't lose that peace, Ethan. I won't, I said. Though a small part of me knew peace wasn't something you kept, it was something you chose every day. When she left, I walked down to the Thames, the same place where everything had once ended for me. The city lights shimmered across the water, bending and breaking with every ripple. It reminded me of how love looks when it's real, imperfect, but alive. I sat on the same old bench, pulled my coat tighter, and let the cold wind brush against my face. In my notebook, I wrote one last line to end the story. I didn't destroy her. The truth did. The words felt final. Not cruel, not triumphant, just true. I closed the notebook and leaned back, staring at the sky. The wind picked up, carrying sounds from the city, the hum of cars, the laughter of strangers, the quiet rhythm of a world that kept moving. For the first time, I wasn't stuck in the past. I wasn't waiting for closure, forgiveness, or regret. My phone buzzed again. Claire's name appeared one last time. I turned it face down on the bench. Not today, I whispered. The river kept flowing. Silver under the moonlight. I looked at it and smiled. Goodbye, Clara said softly. The wind carried her name away, scattering it like ashes over the water, and for the first time in years, I didn't reach for it. I just let it go.